Welcome back to the second half of the Westfield W League Melbourne Derby. At half-time, it's Melbourne City 0, Melbourne Victory 0. Will we get a goal? And that is the burning question as the teams make their way back out onto Amy Park. Decent crowd, you'd probably say about 2,500, maybe 3,000 in the house at the moment. Teo Pellizzeri, my name, joined by Anna Harrington in commentary. And the referee, Casey Rybelt, gets us underway with that whistle to start the second half. We haven't had any substitutions, just the one made in the first half with the Taranto twins swapping. Adriana coming off injured, Mel Taranto coming on, but Anna Harrington as you join us for the start of the second half. Well, can Melbourne City go on with the job? Can Melbourne Victory capitalise perhaps on their opportunities and go that little bit better with those chances that came agonisingly close in the first 45 minutes of play?
I think both possibilities are well and truly plausible. City at times just looked a class above. They got a few things working really nicely, and but for a couple of good defensive moments and some hard work from Melissa Barbieri, they could well have got ahead. But of course the biggest chance of the game was that effort from Mindy Barbieri that to some crossed the goal line, to others was cleared off the line by Tala Vlanik. But yeah, absolutely, if the City really step it up, they can start to put some more pressure on that Victory defence. But as we saw, Victory are really dangerous on the counter with the pace of players like Palmer and Elby.
Looks as though there haven't been too many formation changes for either side. Chidiac is running down the left at the moment, tries to send it across. It's knocked behind by Annabelle Martin. Beattie Goad on the right wing at the moment for Melbourne City, who are attacking the Swan Street end to the left of your radio dial, while Melbourne Victory are attacking the right of your radio dial. We hope you're enjoying today's coverage on TuneIn. And we'll cross down to Cheryl in a moment. Cheryl Downs from the womensgame.com, our sideline reporter. But right now we're going to wait on Mariana Tabane to swing in a corner just 90 seconds into the second half. Here it comes, Tabane to the back post. It's batted away by Barbieri. Jackson waiting down, right-footed volley on the non-preferred foot for her, and Thea Slatcher easily deals with it, sending it into touch out for a throw. Cheryl, as you rejoin us for the second half, an update please on the weather conditions and also how the wind is going. We heard it rattling through our headsets a moment ago.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty perfect down here, to be honest. The wind is a little light breeze, but doesn't really do too much to the play of the ball, I think, just because the stadium is so well protected. I wouldn't imagine it would do anything unless they're playing some super high balls into goal. The pitch itself is still looking sensational, to be honest. I'm not sure the length of the studs that the players have, but I think they should be right out there, and it's only the intensity that they're running towards the ball that they're sort of slipping a couple of bits here and there.
Thank you, Cheryl, on the sidelines, who will be down there at pitch level to grab some post-match interviews, and who knows, it might well be after a 0-all draw if neither team can find their radar in front of the target. Lewick at the moment, caught in possession about 10 metres from the top of the area, but passes it back to Jackson. Now a diagonal ball, looking for Chidiac, but it's intercepted by Annabelle Martin. And now Enza Barilla coming away for Melbourne Victory, looking to counter-attack. Plays it ahead of Pollock, but Hannah Brewer reads it better for City. Passes it straight back to Martin, though. Attempts an ambitious cross-field ball that intersects Briar Palmer and Laura Sporanovic and is swept upon by Anissa Guajardo, the right back for Melbourne City. Long ball into the attacking half. Flick header on by Jackson. Rachel Quigley now plays it back to Jackson. 2 metres from the top of the area. Pokes it through. Here's Mariana Tabane! And Tabane opens the scoring in the 49th minute. It's Melbourne City 1, Melbourne Victory 0. A flowing end-to-end move. And the left-footed dink from Mariana Tabane has opened the scoring in the derby.
And Melbourne City just cutting up the Victory defence there. Alex Natoli caught up way too high and then just couldn't catch the 2 or 3 players that were getting involved, and Quigley with a deft touch to Jackson, who just fed it through, and Mariana Tabane, she doesn't miss very often, and she made absolutely no mistake there. She's been hungry for a goal, she's been hungry to really get involved, and she made a statement there, Mariana Tabane.
Cheryl Downs, a flowing team move from Melbourne City, and the cutting edge arrives at the start of the second half.
Exactly, and I could hear Joe Montemuro moments beforehand just calling for Alex Chidiac to run up, but I think the entire team running up, or the front four almost started running up and just overlapped or overran Victory and what they had available. So Melbourne Victory need to make sure that they're not letting that get in front of them too often.
So Melbourne's Victory trying to respond here. Taranto plays through Barilla down the right. This would be the perfect reply, and Barbieri can't get a solid header on goal, and it slips through the penalty area and goes behind for a goal kick. And that was actually one of Melbourne Victory's best attacks of the game, but Mindy Barbieri, just 15 years old and not the tallest player. Putting one on her head is by no means the best way to try and get one on goal.
It was a brilliant effort from Taranto, I thought. Just really took it on, cut her way through the middle, as we saw Stott do a few times from centre back for City in the first half, and really set things up for the cross to come in. That's encouraging from the Victory. They can't drop their heads. They were so good in that first half, and it's just a one-goal deficit. To counter-attack like that is really encouraging, and they really need to keep it up.
And of course, Melbourne City, it is only the one goal. They can't get carried away. It happened for them so easily last week. They scored 3 goals in 5 minutes in a devastating spell against Sydney FC. That took the score from 1-0 to 4-0 by half-time. But they can't get carried away right now, although they will be very encouraged by the way that they sliced through the Melbourne Victory defence to open the scoring. Slatcher attempted a long ball, hits it straight to Tyler J. Vlanich. And now Chidiac running, showing the technique that stood out to the national coach Alan Stadgic to give her a cap at just 15 years of age. And now the ball is played to Lewick in the defensive half, and she's going to go all the way back to Trudy Burke. And Burke now plays it out to Rebecca Stott, who was really one of the driving forces for Melbourne City in that first half. Took the responsibility to try and run out defenders, take it into the attacking half all the way from centre back a few times, and she'll be happy that the players ahead of her on the park were able to put one in the back of the net. Take a bit of that pressure off Melbourne City, because I'm sure in the rooms at half-time they probably weren't expecting to go in 0-0. Never mind Melbourne Victory, arguably the team with the better chances in the first 45 minutes.
No, absolutely not. And I liked your point about Stott as well. She's such a confident defender. She's world class now, and she knows that. You can just see the confidence when she runs at players. She expects to not just hold on to the ball, but actually
pressure
create.
Here for Barbieri, because Quigley is trying to chase her down with the press. Played out to Slatcher, lost her footing. Chidiac coming through, taking the ball, cross into the area, pass go Quigley with a volley, and scoops it out for a goal kick. And that's the press. That is the pressure that it puts on the defending team. And Cheryl on the sidelines. Joe Montemuro seems a bit more relaxed now that his team's got the lead, and certainly Melbourne City going to work on trying to find a second.
Yeah, I think very excited now. Probably a very good halftime chat that they had out there, and he's calling for a lot of the players to, particularly Rachel Quigley, I suppose, to move higher. So that's their intent this half, and I'd be surprised if it stays at 1-0 right now.
Sporanovic taking possession in the centre circle, plays it out to Palmer on the left, already waving traffic before the ball arrived. We know what the plan is. Route 1 with that blistering left boot, but that one is volleyed away by Vlanich. And now Taranto with a header. It's going to go all the way out to the left touchline, and Chidiac will watch it go out for a throw. So here is Tyler J. Vlanich. Made a name for herself already with that goal line clearance in the first half. We don't actually expect her to appear again this W League season out of Harrington. The word we've got is that the internationals will be heading straight to Perth next week for round 3, and from then on it'll mainly be City's first choice 20 that'll be doing the work, and Vlanich will probably go back to the train-on squad hoping for an injury or a suspension or simply an opportunity to get back in. But of all the deputising players today, Quigley, Vlanich, Brewer, all of them have done quite a good job.
Yeah, they've all worked really hard. And you can tell that they're keen to make an impression. All you can ask of players that are only going to be in temporarily is to fill the role that you ask them to, and they've all done that. As Chidiac works hard to maintain the ball against 2 defenders.
Well, the thing I love about Chidiac is she does have a good first touch. I mean, she's small, diminutive, can play as a number 10 or as a bit of a goal poacher, but the thing that really has outlined that potential is that she can control the ball and is good with it at her feet, and you just hope that she has a chance to stamp her authority on this W League season when all the big names arrive, and I think inevitably she might get pushed back to the bench. Melbourne City at the moment put together a string of 5 or 6 passes to switch flanks from the left to the right, and now a sweeping long ball from Stott. Slatcher deals with it in the air, but Jackson read it best off her head with the follow-up, and now edge of the penalty area on the left. Here's Chidiac, first time cross in, looking for Goad in the air. That's ambitious. It falls. Jackson with a volley, and that one is floating straight to Barbieri. And if there's one thing about Beattie Goad that no one expects, is that she can score with the header, because she's not a very good player in the air.
No, you don't expect that at all, but that was just...
Bouncing ball, Vlanich under pressure here. Barilla running at her from the top of the penalty area. Vlanich sends it back to her goalkeeper Burke, and she's no longer under pressure.
Textbook Amy Jackson, though. You put her anywhere within about 30 yards, and she'll back herself in every time, whether it's a volley or whether the ball's just rolled out at her. You know that she'll always look to test the keeper, and that's what's great about her. She's an aggressive player. She really makes every touch. She really goes in for every contest, and she loves having a crack at the goals. And you can never have too many players that like scoring goals.
No, it's true. Long ball from Goad unable to connect with a teammate. Barbieri sends it out to left back for Bri Palmer. 54 minutes gone. The only goal of the game in the 49th minute. Mariana Tabane, the all-time leading appearance player for Perth Glory, of course, before this year. Played in the inaugural season and really is a product of the W League generation, having started as a teenager. And she's been agonisingly close to her first Matildas cap. She's been in the training squad in the camps a few times, but still actually yet to get that first cap at international level. Of course, she's eligible for Croatia, but I suspect the Matildas might come calling before too long. Foul here by Jackson on Barilla, and it's going to be a Melbourne Victory free kick at the centre of defence. Of course, one player who couldn't resist the urge of a different country was Rebecca Stott. Played for New Zealand at an Olympics and a World Cup, and that was after playing for the young Matildas, Anna Harrington. She was always going to play, I think, for the country of her birth, but perhaps she's the one that got away.
Potentially, you can never have enough good centre-backs. The Matildas are covered for now, at least, with Alana Kennedy really coming on in the last couple of years, and they've got Polkinghorn as a fixture for at least the next couple. But you wouldn't complain about having her as one of your options, though. New Zealand women's team has become quite strong over the past few years, and Stott's been one of those reasons. And she got to score a goal at a World Cup. I think she did always want to play for New Zealand, so it's worked out well for her.
I think the 2012 Olympics was the clincher for her to choose New Zealand at senior international level, but you're right, I don't think the Matildas were ever a realistic chance of attaining her services, but you can only imagine how much better they'd be with her in the team. Slatchin out.
Brilliant.
Might be thinking about a Matilda's comeback of her own at just 32, having been retired for 3 years, and looking good today as well at the centre of defence. Now Stott, the player in question. Look at Sporanovic. She's running herself into the ground, pressing up, trying to make it difficult for Melbourne City to play out from the back. And now Barilla gets onto a shallow clearance. Brewer takes it off her though. Clearance only as far as Martin. Scrappy play at the moment. Pollock goes in for a big 50-50. One on Jackson, now on Chidiac, and almost came away with the ball, but Chidiac just got a little touch to guide it towards Ivy Lewick. And now Rebecca Stott has possession. Plays it up to the halfway line. Goad riding a bump there from Elby and wins a foul. Well played by Beattie Goad. And Melbourne City want to keep the tempo high. Sun currently across 2/3 of the pitch. The shadow from the stand we're in at the moment is starting to creep across the ground. Here goes Stott. Dribbles around a couple of players. Look at the confidence of Rebecca Stott. Takes it past Elby. Wide on the right. And now deflected off Taranto. A couple of shouts for handball from the fans on the outer side. Not heeded by the referee. And Bri Palmer is going to try and drive the ball the other way. Goad backtracking, putting the pressure on. Palmer plays it to Sporanovic. And now she turns out of trouble, playing a crossfield pass. Here goes Melinda J. Barbieri, but she can't get to that crossfield ball, and it runs long into touch for a throw.
Entertaining little battle there between Bri Palmer and Beattie Goad, and you can just see the respect from Palmer there. Knew to give the ball away and get rid of it because she was not necessarily going to back herself in against Goad, who we know is a smart footballer and could well have easily poached the ball off Palmer. So good to see two young players just absolutely gunning it down the wing and really working hard to try and make an impact. I think Goad's been one of the best players on the pitch for mine. 57
minutes gone. We'll come down to Cheryl in a moment just to check in on both benches who are warming up and if there are any subs perhaps on the way. Barbieri in possession now for Melbourne Victory though, and they're hailing cabs. It is going to be a Melbourne Victory throw. Cheryl, down to you. Any activity coming on the bench, do you think?
Doesn't look like it too much at the moment. I think both teams are pretty solid about where things are going. Right now I think David Monson has been quieter up this end of the pitch, but I'm running down to see some more detail of what he's saying. Joe Montemuro has been calling out Alex Chidiac all the time, so it's either that he's really happy with what she's doing or he's expecting a lot more from her. For my money, I think Chidiac's been playing pretty well and she's just a workhorse.
Oh, maybe the sort of player that needs someone constantly in her ear. It's all about coaching players the right way, isn't it, Anna? Some can be left to their own devices and some need constant attention, and I suppose that's an insight from Cheryl there, that Chidiac is one who has always got the coach in her ear.
I remember we saw 2 seasons ago, Lisa Devanna just had Dave Edmondson and Jess Fishlock in her ear the whole time, constantly talking to her, and if she got a bit fired up, calming her down and just maintaining a constant conversation. It was almost as if Devanna and Edmondson were just having a chat for 90 minutes. She's always entertaining. One thing I have noticed today, I've liked the work of Jamie Pollock. She was pretty invisible.
Stay with play here, sorry Anna, because Beattie Goad is chasing Elby down towards the corner. Elby puts it into touch for a throw.
Yeah, last week Pollock was a little bit invisible, just took a little bit of time to really settle into the pace of W League, but I feel like that's been a really good experience for her. She worked hard last week, and today I feel like she got a few early touches, and that really got her confidence up. She's been working hard, she's been willing to take on players, and I think she's been pretty solid in midfield today, and there's plenty of room for improvement with her.
Jackson may have left her foot in on Sporanovic there, but the referee thought it was all right. Melbourne Victory come away with possession in any case. Barbieri, neat turn, gets it to Pollock, and that ball over the top runs long and goes down to Trudy Burke, who doesn't have any Victory players pressing up now. And that effort from Sporanovic early in the half here, Anna, has not left a great deal of petrol left in the legs, and Melbourne City now under no pressure able to play the ball out from the back.
Nah, and the thing is, Victory don't have really any attacking options left on the bench now. They're quite limited in terms of who they do have available, so Sporanovic is really just going to have to dig deep, and whether she just continues to play in a more advanced role, it's up to her and as to what her legs can handle. But she's been an absolute workhorse for this first 60-odd minutes, Laura Sporanovic. And we just see Barbieri, she copped a little bit of a knock in the warm-up, and she's copped another one here.
Well, a bit of a pile-up there. She went sliding in, trying to keep the ball in play against Tyler J. Vlanic, and I think she basically took Vlanic out, and then Vlanic had nowhere to land, and inevitably landed on top of the prone Barbieri. Just a pile-up of bodies, and they slap a low 5 and get back on with the game. Vlanic to take the throw now and hurls it down the line. Slatcher is just going to watch this one and guide it out for a goal kick, so it comes to nothing in the end. Hashtag W League. Of course, we are live and interactive this afternoon. Let us know where you're listening in from. Of course, the game is live on ABC and Fox if you're listening in Australia, but for our international audience, we hope you're enjoying the coverage on TuneIn, and make sure you join us for all Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City home games during the season. Long ball up to the halfway line. Taranto can't control it. Chidiac now storming through for Melbourne City. Plays it to Vlanic. And now to Bain. The goal score. Just over 10 minutes since that ball hit the back of the net. And other than one swift counter-attack, Melbourne Victory haven't done a great deal about going to get an equaliser. Melbourne City happy to enjoy a possession and territorial advantage. Although Jackson's coughed up the ball here. Little flick on from Palmer to Welby. And now back to Welby again, 1-2 with Taranto. She's going to go her own way, attacking into the right back position, and Guajardo is there guarding it for Melbourne City. Puts it out for a throw. Quick throw from Palmer. Elby's got to keep running, and that's one thing we have noticed about her. She's been full of energy and full of stamina, but on this occasion, Guajardo wins out. No-nonsense clearance. Only as far as Mel Taranto, and Melbourne Victory with the ball in the attacking half. Taranto almost not sure what to do. Turned around and played it to the open player in Palmer. Now back to Welby again, who's stayed forward. And now Palmer again. Game hitting a bit of a lull. Melbourne Victory, can they bring some life back into it, searching for an equaliser? They just look as though they're a bit out of ideas here, Anna Harrington, almost like they don't know what to do when they're in possession of the ball. Long ball from Natoli now up to Sporanovic, and as the ball goes to Melbourne City, I think almost like the Victory players will switch on now and know that their role in defence, but they almost get a little bit of stage fright when they're trying to attack.
It's just the effect of that press that City have got going. They're pressuring the Victory players all over the ground. We saw that they managed to contain Palmer and Elby just to almost a little corridor down the wing. They just didn't have any options in terms of opening it up. They didn't have a controlling midfielder, which is what Christine Nam would normally be. She'd normally be in the centre of the park, demanding the ball and looking for the options and trying to create, or you'd have Hayley Razzo bombing down the other wing. It's just difficult when you don't have those options coming, and that's something that City have really, that's something that's really impressed with City, is that they just, as soon as they lose the ball, they're switching on and making sure that they apply as much pressure as possible so that they can win the ball back again.
Barbieri takes a touch, invites Quigley to press right up, then plays it to Natoli. Again under the pump from Goad, plays it sideways to Slatcher, and this is the Melbourne City press, trying to win the ball, and just a cheap giveaway from Slatcher. Hits a long pass to Brewer, and then Brewer wins a throw-in off Barbieri in the defensive half. Of course, Rebecca Stott, we spoke about her New Zealand career, but she'll be determined to make amends for the last time she played here, Anna, which was, of course, the grand final defeat, Melbourne Victory against Sydney FC back in January of 2013. And it certainly wasn't a finest day, responsible perhaps for 2 of the 3 goals, in fact, from an errant back pass and also falling over when taking on Kaya Simon out on the wing. But she's really come out and shown the growth and the confidence that she has gained in the 2 and a bit years since that famous day in W League history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vlanic here under the pump, Sporanovic running at her. Nice clearance from Vlanic, just roundhouse volley almost as she went to ground and puts it into touch for a throw.
Tough there for Sporanovic. She's essentially 1 against 3 at the moment with this City defence. So she did well there just to get her foot in and really force something
Throw in down towards the corner. Vlanich again. Another slide-style clearance. Puts it into touch. Cheryl, Whitney Knight and Jess Pitts are both warming up, along with Kastamovsky, the backup goalkeeper. Do you suspect Melbourne Victory are going to be making another sub soon?
I do, actually. I think Whitney Knight's probably coming on next. I think the call has just been for the other players to get up and stay warm, but I think Whitney Knight is the next player on.
Well, you'd think Melinda J. Barbieri would be the natural replacement there. We'll have to wait and see. Taranto, the first half sub, can't control the ball from the throw-in. It's come down. Jamie Pollock plays it back out to the right, and Barbieri is offside. And that was something we saw really dog Melbourne last week, Melbourne Victory, I should say, Anna. They ran foul of the assistant referee on a few occasions against Perth, and so probably a good sign that it's taken until the 65th minute to have their first offside today.
Yeah, at the same time, I guess they're probably having a few more opportunities last week. They've had less here. Spranovic is often one against three defenders, as we've said before, so not getting too many opportunities to really get behind and actually see an offside happen. But yeah, I'm sure that is something that they would have worked on, because it's just such a cheap way to lose opportunities if you get offside just by not really being observant enough. Ball just gets bombed into the stands there.
And as it comes back, Vlanich will take the throw over on the sidelines. Be careful there, Cheryl, as the fans try to hurl the ball back in. Brewer playing it across the centre of defence. Melbourne City have been so comfortable playing it around their back four today and picking their moments when to go forward. Stott tries to drive a diagonal pass to Chidiac now. Shows that technique, the low socks and all, but still very nice on the ball. Couple of little touches. Plays it to Quigley. Now Vlanich, and that was a bit of a looser touch. Pollock coming in, trying to win the ball away. I wonder if she's wearing shin guards, Jamie Pollock. The socks are almost down around the ankles there as the ball goes into the attacking half. Bit of wrestling between Slatcher and Tabane. Ball cleared. Barbieri tries to take it down on the chest on the right touchline. Can't do so. Brewer and now Vlanich combine. Brewer under a bit of pressure from Spranovic, who is still full of running, still trying to press. Wins the ball back. Now Mindy Barbieri. Lateral pass into the centre of the pitch. And Taranto got her ankles tapped there by Jackson. And so Melbourne Victory get a free kick right on the edge of their attacking third. Probably too far for a shot, although Briar Palmer is taking responsibility, and as we saw in the Women's Premier League season, she does fancy a shot from distance. This would be ridiculous.
Bit too much.
If she scores from here, it'd be shown around the world, but you never know.
I think Dave Edmondson will be pretty filthy with her if she has an attempt from here, though.
Let's wait and see what happens. Thea Slatcher is getting forward. Laura Spranovic, an obvious target as well. Couple of other players milling around the top of the penalty box. Central position, Briar Palmer left foot, and did take a shot, didn't disappoint in that respect, but the shot itself is disappointing and sails harmlessly out for a goal kick. Couldn't help herself, Anna, I think.
I think she just didn't think there was too much going on there. It would have probably just clattered into a very big wall of players, so thought, may as well have a crack. The ball's really been floating around today, and Dave Emerson didn't get up and give her a spray, so he can't have been too bothered by it. We know Palmer can shoot them from long range. It's just a little bit easier, I think, sometimes when you're on the move. Former
Melbourne Victory player Rita Mankowska has taken the bib from Whitney Knight, and we're going to see another W League debut. Mel Taranto making hers in the first half, and Whitney Knight not far away from a debut herself, another player out of the Victorian NTC. Victory in possession at the moment on the last line of defence. Bit of a shallow back pass from Martin. Barbieri made it work. Martin again goes for a header straight down to Tabane. Chidiac is there taking on Martin, holds her own under the pump, and then wins a throw off Martin, who's annoyed with herself there, I think, that she was unable to clear her lines. And we're going to see the sub that we were all suspecting. Melinda J. Barbieri's starting debut is over after 67 minutes, and Whitney Knight is coming on. A thought on Melinda J. Barbieri's performance? Very nearly scored her first W League goal.
I was going to say, she was very, very unlucky not to score her first W League goal in her starting debut. But she put in a really good shift, Barbieri. She's small, she's young, but she works so hard, and she's got a few really nice touches. She managed to set up a few plays. I think it was a really encouraging performance from her, and yeah, she had copped a couple of knocks here and there. She's quite lightly framed, but there's only going to be more and more improvement from her. I think there was plenty to like about her debut. She's only, 15?
Chidiac left to run, plays it back to Tabane. Now Lewick, 5 metres from the top of the box. Little 1-2 with Quigley, who was back to goal. Lewick now lays it off out to the right for Anissa Guajardo. Here goes Guajardo, trying to take on Natoli, can't get past her. Of course, she is naturally a striker, only played right back for Melbourne City, so does have those instincts when she gets near goal. Victory resisted for the time being, but then Lewick won the ball back. Pass goes straight to Natoli though, and she turns and has time to play it to the centre of defence. Elby now plays it to Pollock.
Plays it to Pollock, and it goes out wide, searching for Knight, who could get her first touch here. But it's just drifted out wide. She's done well, and a throw in for the Victory.
Excuse me, some of the local wildlife deciding to come up and say hello, Anna. But it is going to be a throw in for the Melbourne Victory. Down the right, Spranovic chasing after it. Brewer clears it away, and I'll let you take over, Anna, because I still have a bug that seems to be finding its way down my throat.
I've got plenty of space here to work with Slatcher all by herself. She's just at right back, and she'll be happy to take her time before working a ball into the midfield. Taranto flicks it onto Pollock, who we've called her name a fair bit today. The ball just eludes that defence, but Trudy Burke's going to have a little bit of time to recover and works to play the ball out through Stott. Gets it out to Guado, who's charging down that right wing.
Guado now playing it to Tabane. Apologies, listeners. Thank you, Anna. Straight to Elby, though, who's been good today, Brooke Elby. Ball played into the centre. Barilla now to Pollock. And she's going to play it to the centre of defence for Slatcher. Caught in possession by Quigley, but then Natoli was coming across to guard. Natoli can only poke it as far as Beatty Goad. Now Tabane again. This is all happening 2 metres from the top of the box. Quigley, little slide challenge, plays it back to Goad. 1-on-3 though, and the numbers win out. And Elby clears it away. Knight trying to get her first touch. Under pressure from Blanich though. Plays it into the attacking half. Quigley, header over the top. Beatty Goad tries to control it on the head. Now brings it to ground. Quigley loads up a long shot straight into Taranto. Blocked off the boot. Deflected to Tabane. Now Tabane charging into the area. Wedged by Natoli. And it's a penalty for Melbourne City. And that one looked pretty straightforward. Alex Natoli has been booked as well. And for the second week in a row, Natoli at fault for a penalty kick. And she's got her arms out saying, what did I do wrong? I think the referee, though, Anna Harrington, in the 71st minute, has made the right call. Talk us through the replay on the big screen.
Yeah, no hesitation. Natoli's coming through, and just Tabane's looking to work her way through, and Natoli's just slammed into her. Pretty straightforward penalty, I think, there. She can argue. Defenders always like to argue. You never want to give away a penalty, but pretty fair, straightforward one.
Well, Melissa Barbieri saved Melbourne Victory last week and pulled off the save from Sam Kerr. This week, Ivy Lewick is going to be the taker. Bub's annoyed about something. I think it's that there wasn't a ball.
There wasn't a ball. No one had a ball ready.
So Barbieri, as we know, has a phenomenal record from penalty kicks. We said this last week. Joe Montemuro can't look. He's actually facing the opposing goal as he sits on the sidelines. So high tension here. Ivy Lewick wearing the captain's armband today against Melissa Barbieri. 72nd minute, the chance to double the advantage for Melbourne City. Lewick will take it right-footed. Here it comes. It's Lewick low to the left, and Melbourne City lead 2-0 in the derby.
Straightforward as you like. Ivy Lewick never looked like missing. Picked her corner out and just drove it home. Barbieri dived the right way, but just not far enough. It was a well-placed penalty, and the skipper has put her side 2-0 up in the inaugural W League derby.
Cheryl Downs on the sidelines. Thoughts on the penalty decision? Thoughts on the goal?
Yeah, I think it was a fair penalty decision, but also disappointing for Melbourne Victory. They had a lot of control there, and I think it was one errant pass probably from Jamie Pollock, a little bit poorly weighted back pass, and it's really put them under a lot of pressure and resulted in this goal. I suppose Melbourne City are probably looking to stamp their authority a lot on this now.
And fantastic camera work from Fox Sports. They had a camera fixed on Joe Montemuro refusing to watch the penalty as it was put into the back of the net, and then his reaction going purely by the crowd. It's amazing some of the little superstitions coaches have. We'll have to ask them about that in the post-match. Of course, Melbourne Victory now have it all to do. They've used 2 of their subs. Melbourne City yet to turn to their bench. They lead 2-0 at the moment. Tabane trying to drive a diagonal pass. Natoli heads it away. Rough justice for her. She's defended quite well again today, but giving away a second penalty in as many weeks. Spranovic trying to play through Knight. We know that after going behind was Melbourne Victory's probably best attack of the second half, but on this occasion it's intercepted. Now Quigley, back to goal, flicks it on. Amy Jackson has got Chidiak over the top, and there's too much on the pass. Barbieri roaming her penalty area, able to come out and get the ball. Is there anything Victory can do from here, Anna, or with 73 minutes on the clock to Melbourne City get a 2-0 lead, have enough of a buffer to take the 3 points?
I think they do have enough of a buffer. When it was 1-0, I think Victory had a chance. They haven't looked so dangerous in this second half. They've just lost a little bit of the wind out of their sails, I think. The important thing now is that they don't drop their head, because they can still look to get another goal. You know, 2-0's never a score that's really out of the equation. It's quite a dangerous one, actually, if you get complacent. But I think the important thing is that Victory just keep working hard and try to make something happen and just chase down every ball like Whitney Knight's done there.
And Knight fouling Vlanich as the ball went out at left back for Melbourne City. Of course, a Queenslander. Her first club was the Rabina Soccer Club on the Gold Coast, but she moved to Victoria relatively young and is one of a number of NTC products. In fact, you look at the pitch at the moment, Taranto, also Annabelle Martin coming through the NTC. And then for Melbourne City, you got Beattie Goad, who came through that system as well. So 20 Victorians across 3 W League teams this season, Anna Harrington. It's in stark contrast to when the W League first started, and all of Melbourne Victory's team, bar Melissa Barbieri, more or less had to be imported from other states. It really shows how the game has grown and how the development has come along. City in possession right now. Chidiac taking the pass from Debane, trying to slide through Goad. Barbieri comes out of her line and reads it well to take it off Goad's feet.
I think that just really shows the development that's taken place. They've really emphasised the use of NTC teams and plenty of Victory players, but I think Beattie Goad's one of the real starring ones from that development system.
Here's Taranto now trying to hit an outside of the boot pass to Sporanovic, but Stott cut it off. Back to Guajardo, and now she goes all the way back to Burke, who has been largely untested in goal today, it has to be said. Bailed out, of course, by Tyler Vlanich when there was a goal line chance in the first half, and has largely had the ball at her feet distributing today. Guajardo now running into the attacking half, but Elby cuts it out, coming back with interest, trying to play it to Palmer on the left. She can't get there before the touch line. She can. Assistant referee said it was in. Now she's battling against Anissa Guajardo. Palmer wrestles her over, and the referee says it was done illegally. Let's throw it down to Cheryl on the sideline. Cheryl, we're still yet to see any activity on the Melbourne City bench. They've got Ellis, who came on last week, as did Ayres. Tessa Cernio from Bulleen Lions, who has yet to make her W League debut, and also Kelsey Quinn, the backup goalie. They're warming up at the moment. Do you think we're going to see a sub anytime soon?
I think Joe Montemuro is just calling for Melina Ayres to be substituted.
So that's exciting for her. Scored, of course, in stoppage time last week, her first W League goal on debut. Young player out of Ashburton United, had played for Australia under 17, and Anna Harrington, you see young players come through, and Melina Ayres is one who really lit up the WPL this season and is ready to show the nation what she's capable of.
Yeah, well, it seems to be a good breeding ground at the moment. Ashburton United have some really good talent. Palmer, another one of them. But exciting for Ayres to score that goal on debut last week. It takes a bit of pressure off her. You know, when you're a young forward, you just want to get that first goal, that first taste, and getting it in her first game will just make things a whole lot easier coming on in like the 77th or 78th minute here today.
Brewer plays a long ball into the attacking half to no one in particular. Slatcher comes across to read the pass. Now Pollock back to Slatcher at the centre of defence. Melbourne City will really find out now in this last 15 minutes just how much of an advantage the City Football Academy, the 2 training session days, how much that all counts for when mental and physical fatigue starts to take over. Stott plays it to Quigley. It's been very good on her Melbourne City debut today. Lewick now playing it to Goad on the right. Elby takes a touch. Goad keeps her feet. Elby managed to get the pass to Palmer in time though. Back to Elby at left back. Melbourne Victory submitting the paperwork to bring on Jess Pitts as well. So their third and final sub not far away. Jackson to Quigley. Can't control the ball. Martin now at right back for Melbourne. Playing it out wide to Knight. Still in the defensive half. Gets round Vlanich though. And now running into the attacking half. Whitney Knight to Sporanovic. Nice 1-2. Whitney Knight foot race against Brewer and can't win it. Burke coming out of her line to easily claim the ball.
Really like that from Knight there. It was a cleverly timed ball. Just worked it out to Sporanovic and they worked really nicely together there. They've not had too many opportunities for Victory forwards in this second half, but that was something really nicely constructed there, I thought.
Chidiac. Now Jackson turning back to the centre of defence for Brewer. Oh, let the ball slip under her foot, but no one from Melbourne Victory was on the scene. Burke lured out of her area and has to just kick it into touch for a throw, and it looks as though Melbourne Victory will make their final change, and it is going to be Jamie Pollock making way and Jess Pitts coming on. Cheryl Downs, thoughts on Jamie Pollock's second outing here in the Westfield W League?
Yeah, I think she tried really hard out there today. A couple of errors that she still needs to eliminate from her game to be more viable out there as a long-term player, but we're also seeing a change. I think Rachel Quigley's going to come off for Melina Ayres.
Thank you, Cheryl. We'll keep an eye on that on the sidelines soon. In the meantime, Melbourne Victory trying to find a way back into the game. Jackson left to boot in on Knight. No foul. Play on. Barilla trying to take possession and wins a throw off Vlanich. Down at left back for Melbourne City.
She's worked hard today, Barilla.
Throw in by Martin. Sporanovic back to goal. Trying to control it into the penalty area. Jackson got a boot in to interrupt the attack. And it's cleared into touch for another throw. So Melbourne Victory, if they can pull one back here, still with 11 minutes plus stoppage to go, you just never know. We all expect that City are going to run over the top, but a goal here could rattle City. And we saw it in the first half, how close Melbourne Victory came to scoring. Jackson kicks it into touch. And out for another Victory throw as they try to construct an attack. And at times, Anna, we've said it before, they just look a little bit out of ideas when they actually have the onus on them to go out and try and manufacture an attacking play. Taranto wins the ball under pressure here off of Lewick. First cross was blocked by Brewer and now cleared by Jackson once again.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. They don't really have a creator. Christine Nam, when she's there in the midfield or plays up in a number 10 role, she can really create opportunities and make things happen. But Victory at this stage don't really seem to have someone else that can do that can really be a spark and get things happening up forward.
Taranto and Martin couldn't combine to control the ball, and it's now out for a City throw, deep in defence, right down next to the corner flag. In fact, Vlanich to take is just going to hurl it down the line. Bounces in front of Tabane. Pitts is there, gets her first touch since coming on. Back to Natoli, and she's going to venture into the attacking half, then play it sideways for Brooke Elby. And Elby now guides it towards Palmer. Very left-footed Briar Palmer, didn't want to knock it back on the right. Instead, turns onto the left and plays it to no one in particular. I think the pass was meant for Pitts and she left it. Jackson came through in one possession of the ball to Lewick, back to Jackson. And now Jackson sending it out to the right for Beattie Goad. Nice touch to bring it into her control. Goad loves to drift into the centre of the park, and that's exactly what she does on this occasion here, waiting for an open player. Lewick is the option. And now they switch flanks all the way to Chidiac on the left. Not many players actually moving off the ball here. I think the heat of the day is starting to take an impact at the 80-minute mark. Melbourne City, though, retaining possession. Guajardo now venturing down the right to Goad. Little 1-2 with Anissa Guajardo. Takes possession, wide on the right. Has Elby there. Little step over. Can't fool the American. Now charging to the right byline. It's Anissa Guajardo trying to cut it back. Tabane was unmarked in the penalty area, but it's blocked and cleared away by Briar Palmer.
And they've done well to work it out here, Victory, but it's only just been turned over on the halfway line, and Vladic will take a moment to just size up our options. It was another dangerous moment there for the Victory defence.
Guajardo now in possession under pressure from Pitts, and is going to play it back to halfway for Stott. You just get the feeling that Melbourne Victory, it's death by 1,000 cuts here. Melbourne City retaining possession, making Victory chase. It's getting tougher and tougher to hold them out. Chidiac can't bring down a long ball on this occasion. Slatcher just kicks for territory, clears it away. It's a lost cause for Whitney Knight to go and chase. She's got a good sprinting motion, Whitney Knight, but she was coming from a long way back. Shallow clearance from Burke, and this might open the door for the Victory. Sporanovic takes possession, 5 metres from the top of the box. First thought was to shoot. It's deflect out to the right, and now Brewer puts it into touch for a throw.
Sporanovic there thought her options were getting closed down and thought, well, may as well have a go here. And we're going to see a substitution down to Cheryl.
Cheryl, talk us through it.
Yeah, as we can see, Rachel Quigley coming off, and we've got Melina Ayres. Rachel Quigley's got some great skills, but she's still coming back from a shoulder injury, and I think now it's a fitness that she just needs to work back up to playing the full 90.
Well, that's if we see her again this year, Cheryl, but I think she's done her cause no harm at all as that back-to-goal target striker. And coming on, Melina Ayres, scored last week. Let's see what she can do this week. Pitts, top of the area though. Victory trying to find a way back into the game. Barilla tonight, cross to the back post, no one home. And Burke is able to control it on the bobble. And now throws it out to the fresh legs of Melina Ayres, battling against Brooke Elby. And wins the throw just inside the defensive half. And she's going to leave it for Anissa Guajardo to come up and take the throw. So Melbourne City still have Olivia Ellis and Tessa Cernio, who would be making her debut if they appear later in the game. 82.5 minutes ticked over at the moment, and it's Melbourne City 2, Melbourne Victory 0. Ball at right back, Guajardo playing it to Jackson, caught in possession by Barilla, takes a deflection, Pitts now to Palmer, to Natoli, into the centre circle for Mel Taranto, and now Slatcher laying it out to the right, and Martin just caught flat-footed, can't get to the ball. Knight backtracking, did well, plays it to the centre of defence for Slatcher, perhaps wasn't expecting it though. Now Pitts playing as a midfielder this week, came on as a centre-back last week. Little ball down the left from Palmer, looking for the overlapping run of Elby. And it's gone into touch for a throw. And it must really be frustrating Dave Edmondson that he's watched Brooke Elby play so well this week, but to know that she won't be available next week.
Yeah, I think she's actually linked up beautifully with Briar Palmer. I know Guljan Koja touched on that at half-time. They just seem to read each other really nicely going down that left flank. So yeah, that would be tough to know because I think she has been one of the more impressive players for Victory today. But yeah, what can you do? It's a tough situation.
certainly is. Attack came to nothing and it's gone out for a goal kick. So Burke wasting no time. She's rolled the sleeves up on the goalkeeping shirt now. I think she knows that Bree Davies laying in wait, hoping to get fit and get back in the team soon. But again, a player who was bought here more or less for this start to the season, knowing that if Davey wasn't injured, she probably would have been called up for international duty. She's certainly done her cause as the number one no harm. Goad brings it down. Guajardo now looking for Tebane, wrestling against Slatcher. And other than the goal, Mariana Tebane has really been anonymous in this second half. Perhaps a product of some well-focused marking from the Melbourne Victory defence. Ball down the left. Here goes Elby again, venturing forward. Edge of the attacking third. Goad goes to ground. Elby persisting. Stoddart deflects off her. Can she keep it in? She does. Floating into the penalty area, but Jackson gets back for the defensive header. Edge of the box. Sporanovic trying to keep it in attack for Melbourne. Laid it off sideways. Barilla couldn't get to the ball. Cleared by Brewer. And now Melbourne City trying to break out. Chidiac drifting over to the left. Caught in possession by Taranto, but Taranto gave away a foul. Taken quickly. Vlanic wasn't expecting it. And now Whitney Knight wins back the ball for Melbourne Victory. A few little careless moments like that. Enza Barilla appears to have been pushed up forward, Anna.
Yeah, we may as well. We know that she can poach goals. She's done it plenty of times for Victory. She's a pacey player. She's a hard worker. She's got good endurance. And they'll just be hoping that there's the opportunity for her to just slip in behind and maybe make the most of a few, maybe an error or just some loose play. Because Laura Sporanovic has been working very, very hard up forward, and I think she's maybe in need of a little bit of a break. 5
minutes to go. The game really has slowed down quite a bit. A pair of fresh legs here could break it open, and that's what Melina Reyes is trying to do. Onto the ball from Stott. Natoli wrestling against her. Lewick put a foot in, gave a foul away, and Natoli wins possession for the Victory. We're going to see Olivia Ellis come on, another young player who will be playing in the Victorian WNPL for Box Hill next year. And she's going to be replacing the best and fairest of that competition, Amy Jackson, who's coming to the sidelines.
Yeah, Jackson's put in a pretty solid shift. I think Lewick's been probably the more prominent of that midfield duo today, but Jackson just can't falter. She works so hard. She will go in for every physical contest. She had a couple of pings at goal as well. And you just know that however long you have her on the field for, Amy Jackson will give 100%.
And the young woman known as Little Biscuits, I'm not sure if that nickname's made it to the W League yet, but that's what she was known as at one of her former clubs, the Bulleen Lions, comes on. Olivia Ellis, the number 12. And here's Victory's number 12, Knight, swinging a diagonal pass over to Briar Palmer. Out near the left corner flag, gets to the ball, now sends it across from deep. Burke's got to work, Barilla arriving, good header away by Stott though, had it covered. And Melbourne Victory perhaps weren't ready to expect a dangerous ball into the 6-yard area there. It's happened so infrequently. And now Goad can turn and play a ball. Ellis is running. Header away by Slatcher, but it falls straight to Melina Ayres. And the kids are going to work here for Melbourne City. You look at the attacking half. They've got Chidiac 16, Goad 17, Ayres 16, and Ellis 16 herring around at the moment. Anna Harrington, they really have sent the youth of tomorrow out to finish off this game.
Well, isn't that brilliant? You can tell that they're all hungry, willing to play, and the likes of Goad is an established W League player, and Chidiac is really starting to establish herself too. It's exciting. It's exciting for Australian football that you see these young players looking to really match it. It just shows that the development is working. Even some of these Victory players are really looking to hold their own too.
Well, Knight with the fresh legs has certainly shown a bit since coming on for Melbourne here. Little 1-2 with Spranovic, and now Barilla taking the ball down the right, coming across. Stott put a boot in. Barilla keeps her feet, plays it back to Knight. This is all happening on the right, level with the penalty area. Can she swing it across? She can't. It's blocked away by Brewer, out for a corner. Cheryl, Joe Montemuro, has got to bark a lot of instructions there, and his young team is holding on to a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and he was just checking to see if TJ Vlanic was okay in a contest there. I think she copped a little tap and he was calling her to just come up. He's actually just getting Tessa Cernio ready to come on as well.
So Cernio would be making her W League debut as well from the Bulleen Lions. Just 20 years old, another young player. And in the meantime, Melbourne Victory, if they can score here, 88 minutes gone, stranger things have happened. Briar Palmer to take the corner left-footed, drifting it to a central position. Slatcher, the target, comes off her shoulder and is cleared away by Ellis. Caught in possession initially by Natoli, but comes through with the follow-up. Plays it out to the right, now Ayres. Lost the ball under her feet ever so briefly, but went and got it back. Plays it to Lewick, and now the game actually stops to a standstill as Lewick plays it to Tebane, to Stott, and Melbourne Victory made to chase again. They've done a lot of chasing shadows today in the bright sunlight. Melbourne City comfortably retaining possession. Just 90 seconds of regulation to go, and the fourth official, Kate Jakovitz, will tell us how much longer remains in this first ever Melbourne W League derby. Goad out of Stott, ball over the top. This is one for Ellis to go and chase. Elby still got plenty in the tank here, leads Ellis to the ball and guides it out to the corner and actually wins a throw for her trouble.
Yeah, you can just see the game really wrapping up. But what I'm really liking, I'm seeing Tessa Cernio come on. She's going to replace Beattie Goad, who's put in a brilliant shift today. Goad has worked so hard, been very creative. Her touch is just getting better and better as her confidence grows. And a nice moment here for Tessa Cernio. You always want to see players get the chance to get blooded. Just gets a handshake there from Joe Montemuro. And it's a brilliant moment for Tessa Cernio. It could be the only time we see her appear this season with some quality to come back for City, but great to see her get a run in the legs.
And one Bulleen Lions player replaces another. Cheryl, thoughts on Beattie Goad's performance today?
Huge game from Beattie Goad today, and I think not being able to see her play in round one, it's an opportunity missed for us, but I think she ran hard, and we've seen her play at training as well, and she's just been exceptional. I think her heart is giant and her legs just keep going along with that. She's also a smart footballer as well, and I think she's done really well today.
Of course, did say in a video a couple of years ago, Anna, that she harbours ambitions of going to Stanford University, and you don't get into Stanford on the basis of your football, you get into there on the basis of your academic results. 3 minutes of stoppage time to go, and it's still 2-0 to Melbourne City. We're thinking about players that Cheryl can go and grab. I want to hear from TJ Vlanich. I want to hear about that clearance off the goal line, so put that one on the bucket list, Anna, if you have any...
I thought she's played well today as well, Vlanich.
Who else? Maybe Ivy Lewick?
Yeah, I think
wearing the captain's armband today?
Yeah, I think it's important to hear from Lewick.
And from a Melbourne Victory point of view?
Yeah.
I think Thea Slatcher.
I think Thea Slatcher, she's playing the full 90 today. It'd be good to hear about how she's bounced back this week. I think they're probably three players that we'd potentially like to hear from.
Stay with us in post-game. We'll be bringing you interviews here on TuneIn. Cernio gets her first touch. Little 1-2 with Vlanich. This is happening on the left in the attacking half. Cernio back to Vlanich, back to Cernio. Almost like she just wants to get a feel of the W League, and now Vlanich drifting in across. That one's going to fall short. Ayres was attacking from the back post, and it's held by Barbieri. We've played 1 minute of 3 minutes of stoppage time.
Good feel for Barbieri. I don't think she's done too much wrong today. She's had 2 goals go past her. One she couldn't do too much about, that penalty. I think she's generally controlled the ball really well. It's bobbled up a lot in the air, with this wind really being quite swirly. I think generally she's commanded the back four well as well, so it's tough for Melissa Barbieri. I'm sure she's a very competitive unit. She'd hate to see 2 goals go past her, but I don't think she can have any issues with how she's played today.
Free kick to Melbourne City for a handball against Knight. She actually tries to intercept it. It's deflected down. Pitts now for the victory to Sporanovic. If they score here, there probably wouldn't be enough time left, but they'd love to get one. Sporanovic sets Knight free through the right from the edge of the area, trying to lob, and does lob Burke for a sensational goal. And Whitney Knight scores on her W League debut.
And she was the spark for Melbourne Victory in this second half. She looked like she could make a few things happen, the youngster. And Whitney Knight, what a finish. She saw that there was no one there and just had the confidence to say, yep, I can put this over Trudy Burke's head. And Burke could only look to leap as it sailed over her. Brilliant finish. And that's just why you should never drop your head, because even at 2-0, you can still work your way back into it. They've not got much time left, the Victory, but a brilliant finish from Whitney Knight.
They've got all of 50 seconds to try and do something. Outrageous lob from Whitney Knight. She gets her first W League goal, and, well, you wonder what could have been if that goal cleared off the line might have stood. Melbourne Victory in their attacking half. Brewer, no nonsense, gets the clearance, and City can't throw this one away. It's only 2-1 now, and the clock is against Melbourne Victory. There's just 25 seconds of the allocated 3 minutes of stoppage to go. Cheryl, quick word from you. Oh, no, we're going to wait for Cheryl in a moment, but here's the throw-in. Knight heads it down to Bain. Cernio, and now Vlanich. City at the right end of the pitch to wind some time off the clock. Just 10 seconds of stoppage to go now. It's another Melbourne Victory throw. Joe Montemuro on the edge of his technical area. Throw in. Taranto. Lewick wins the ball back, and it is a foul, and it is full time. And Melbourne City win the first ever Melbourne W League derby. They do it 2-1. Perhaps a little bit more convincing than the scoreline suggests, but Melbourne Victory, the same scoreline as last week. They can leave with their heads held high again. They won't be happy that they've lost their first 2 games of the season. But Melbourne City, they roll on. Perhaps not as dominant as last week, Anna Harrington, but certainly something that they'll be happy to have put one over Melbourne victory in the first ever meeting between the teams.
And it's 3 points, and you know what they say about winning ugly. I don't think it was necessarily an ugly game, but it was a really tough competitive one, and if you can take what Melbourne Victory threw at them early on and then be 0-0 at half-time and come out and just get the job done, that's what good teams do. They're missing players, they're missing key personnel, and they've just come out and they've managed to win 2-1. They'll be happy with that.
And Melbourne City, I think Alex Chidiac is the player that they want for Foxtel here, and Thea Slatcher, I think, is the other one. So, Cheryl, we've got other players for you to go out and try and get a word with, and we might hear from the coaches as well. But let's recap the goals here. In the 49th minute, Mariana Tabane opened the scoring. 72nd minute, Ivy Lewick scored a penalty to make it 2-0 after a foul on Tabane, I should say. And then in the 92nd minute, Whitney Knight with a sensational lob from the right side of the area, putting the ball in the back of the net. Cheryl is about to grab... No, I think the stadium announcer wants to grab Ivy Lewick for a word here. So, Cheryl, go and grab TJ Vlenich and have a word to her. Obviously, a TV game. We've got to pick our moments here and the right people to have a word with. And we're going to throw it down to Cheryl for a word in just a moment. Anna Harrington, Melbourne City will be happy. A lot of players playing today who we suspect we might not see again this W League season, but one player who did her cause no harm was TJ Vlenich, and she's with Cheryl Downs on the sidelines now.
Nice clearance off the goal line back then. In context of the 2-1 result, it was a really, really big save.
I'm speechless. I honestly have nothing to say. Just had to do what I had to do and to get it off the line and do the team proud, I guess. Just had to do what I had to do.
In that situation, I mean, were Melbourne appealing for a goal? Did they think it had gone in? I mean, did you have any understanding of whether or not the ball had crossed the line when you went up for that header?
All I saw was ball, and I thought, I got to get to that, and that's literally all I thought and saw.
TJ, you're one of the younger players that's come into this squad. We know that there's some key personnel coming back in for City, but how's it been for you training in these elite facilities with some brilliant players? It must have been an amazing experience for you so far.
That's exactly what it is, an amazing experience. I cannot be thankful enough. And I just take each training session, each game, each session as it comes, and thank City for letting me be a part of it.
With the high-profile internationals coming back, do you have any understanding of where to from here? I mean, we saw all three players drafted in, yourself, Brewer, Quigley, all play today. Has there been any discussion of what the long-term plan is?
No, look, I'm just going to rock up to every training, take it as it comes, take each game as it comes, and I'm sure Joe does the same, take each game as it comes. I expect to be, part of the team and try my best, and that's all I expect, really.
We said that making your W League debut at Amy Park is certainly in stark contrast to Hillsview Reserve. Was it overwhelming at any point in time today?
I honestly wasn't as nervous as I thought it would be. Like, the girls are amazing, great group of girls, an amazing stage. It's just an amazing experience, and like I said, I cannot be thankful enough.
And just one on the game itself, going in 0-0 at half-time, Victory really took it up to you guys. It was definitely a hard slog, and especially for you guys in defence. What did Joe say to you guys at half-time? What got you up and about and said, look, let's just get this job done and bang some goals in?
Making history. It's a huge day for the club, huge day for both clubs, I guess, and that's really all we had in the back of our minds. Obviously playing our game, playing to our abilities, doing what we've been doing at training and implementing it all, and I think just the will and the want, and I think that really showed in the second half, I think.
Cheryl, we'll leave the last question for you.
I'm just surprised that you're not the most tall player out there. I think my height's probably almost up there with yours, but you must have jumped pretty high to get that ball on the goal line yet again.
Yeah, those big quads come in handy sometimes.
Thank you very much.
TJ, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we see you again this W League season, but if not, congratulations on your debut and your performance today.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you to Tyler J. Vlenich there down on the sidelines. Cheryl, Melbourne Victory players appear to be making their way down the tunnel. Maybe if you can try and grab one of them before they disappear. I think Thea Slatch is going to be busy with TV duties for the rest of time, so perhaps Dave Edmondson, the coach, might be a chance. We've got Whitney Knight as well, who Melissa Barbieri is getting some selfies taken too, so we'll cross back down to Cheryl Downs in a moment when she's finished making sure the fans get a bit of FaceTime with one of the true superstars of the women's game. Cheryl and Melissa Barbieri not far away. They're just sorting out the microphones at the moment. Repeating 2-1 the final score here in the first ever Melbourne W League derby. Melbourne City scoring in the 49th and 72nd minute. Cheryl, you've got Melissa Barbieri down there with you. Let's throw it down to you.
Pretty good result out there from the young players on the team. It's something that you must be proud of. Yeah, well, we've got kids out there, don't we? And it was a battle at the NPL, really, which is great to see because we've got so many great Victorian players, and it was good to see that we could have so many young players out there making their debut and scoring on debut. How about that for Whitney? It was an amazing shot and great finish.
Melissa, what was the halftime team talk? Because Victory had the better of the chances in the first half and really held their own. What was the message in the rooms?
It was just about keep doing what we were doing. Our work rate was really high, and Dave wanted us to continue that. But the size of Amy Park it's very daunting for young players. So when we've got to go out there and keep that momentum up, it's very hard for young players because all you need is one mistake, and it kind of makes it very hard for them to keep that level of. It's fitness as well, but it's also mental. It's all mental, and that comes with age, really.
Bubs, just on one thing, you've mentioned Whitney Knight's goal already. How important is it? I know in the context of the game it was quite late, it was going to be difficult to get an equaliser, but just for these young players to not drop their heads and then go and actually score a goal and get something out of it.
Sometimes I sound like a broken record out there. I'm pushing and I'm telling these girls to keep going, to press, and they look at me like I'm crazy or something like that. But I know football too well. I've been on the end of some, last-minute goals against me, and I've been, very few times I've been on the last-ditch efforts to win the game. So I know that football can change in any minute of the game, and you can see that by. Whitney getting that late goal. I think if we had a couple of older heads still on the park, I think we would have really pushed them to the last nth degree then.
And just one thing about the state of football, we noticed during the call how many Victorian players there are now, and it's across these two teams, and even Alex Gummer over in SA. So many Victorians now, whereas at the start of the W League, you saw a lot of players actually coming down from the northern states. You must be pretty stoked with the development of the game down here.
Yeah, it's come a long way since when I started, and it's great to see so many Victorian players. Like I said in the beginning, it's all about making sure that we have teams in each state, and those states are represented throughout the whole playing group. And I know they had a few players out today, so it's just testament to the young players coming through, and I think it'll bode well for Victorian football.
Razzo and Nen come back for Newcastle next week. It shapes as a very winnable game. How important is the mindset at training that no one gets too disheartened that the team is 2 defeats from 2?
We're a young team, so anything that we can take out of the game we will, and we'll focus on those strong positive points. But the girls know that it's a learning curve. Every week it's going to be about building on that platform, and we set the standard last week and we've set the standard again today. So if we keep developing at that sort of rate, and I can't fault the girls, they're putting in 100% and they're leaving nothing in the tank. Just look at them. I'll go back to the change rooms and they'll have nothing there. They'll be getting an ice bath and that's about it, and they'll probably freeze to death in there because they won't move.
And Cheryl, we'll leave the last question for you.
Yeah, I suppose after 2 rounds, no points doesn't sound that great, but to be honest, the way that Victory have been playing in these 2 rounds, it really stands well for the rest of the season. Yeah, it's a short season, so we hope to get that click going really quickly. But when you have such a short period of time together, I mean, we've only been together for 3 weeks prior to the season, and that's not good in that sort of preparation respect, but I think it's good in how far we've actually come in such a short period. So you kind of just think, what can we do by the end of the season? It's all about one step in front of the other, small things. We haven't kept a clean sheet, so that might be something we can start with next week, but we've put balls in the goal, so that's a good thing as well.
And just last one on Thea Slatcher, the full 90 today, 70 minutes last week. She really hasn't missed a beat. She looks sensational.
Doesn't she? She's 30 plus. I'm not going to tell her exactly how old she is, but she's looking great out there, and I need more players like her. They need to look to her and say, look, if she can do that after cramping up last week and then coming out and pulling a full 90 minutes, it's all about mental capacity, and you don't know a stronger character more than Thea.
Melissa, thanks so much for joining us on Tune In this afternoon. Commiserations on the result, and all the best against Newcastle next week.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you to Cheryl Downs on the sidelines there as well. Anna, we might bring an end to today's broadcast then, but your final thoughts on what we've seen this afternoon. Melbourne City 2, Melbourne Victory 1. City
got the job done, but I thought Victory's attitude was sensational. They really took it up to them in the first half. Unlucky almost not to go ahead. And I also like the persistence right at the end for Whitney Knight to get that beautiful goal, the goal of the day, I'd have to say. But yeah, as for City, ball just keeps rolling. They've got another 3 points, and they're 2 from 2. Victory, as we said, as Bubs touched on, they've lost 2 games, but you can't really fault their commitment and effort in those 2 games. You've got to think they're only going to improve, and these young players are just going to get more and more confident on the ball.
Anna, thanks so much for your contribution to the broadcast today. Thank you to Cheryl Downs as well, down on the sidelines. On behalf of the broadcast team, my name's Teo Pellizzeri. Thank you for your company today. Make sure you join us 3 p.m. next Saturday. It is Melbourne Victory versus the Newcastle Jets. Just search W League either in the TuneIn app or at tunein.com. Melbourne Victory versus Newcastle, 3 p.m. on TuneIn next week. Your goal scorers today, Mariana Tabane in the 49th minute for Melbourne City, Ivy Lewick from the penalty spot in the 72nd minute, and then Whitney Knight pegged one back for Melbourne Victory in the 92nd minute. The final score, Melbourne City 2, Melbourne Victory 1. That's it in the first Melbourne W League derby. On behalf of the broadcast team, Cheryl Downs, Anna Harrington and myself, Teo Pellizzeri, it's goodbye from Amy Park.